consistently attract soulmate clients, begin showing up on brand, monetizing on your calling. Welcome all spiritual coaches, leaders, healers, light workers, and practitioners to a show that turns you on in your business and amplifies your magnetism. I'm host, catalyst, and spiritual business coach Rosalyn Fung, and I'm here to journey with you into the juicy and help you discover where the real gaps are. Ignite your mindset and soul with strategies and systems as each episode takes you to the sweet spot that activates your soulgasmic business. Enjoy this light language activation as we begin to magnetize and monetize.
Hi, my loves. Welcome. I want to ask you something. Okay, maybe a few questions. Do you want to know what differentiates you from good to great to being unstoppable? Do you ever wonder what mindset and habits you need to create so that you can monetize on your calling while still being a parent, even a single parent, to young kids and still have a life? Today, we're going to explore what it means to get up when there are moments of defeat and the mindset you need to embody to go from victor over victim. So join me as I interview my friend and special guest, Krista Lindenthal, who is a single mama of two boys, 4 and 9 years old. And 9 years ago, she started her journey as an entrepreneur in the mere age of 18. She turned her cleaning business up to par cleaning into a success, where she started it with only $1,000 in the bank and has since then generated over $3 million in revenue since her initiation in 2011. Okay, I hope your ears are perked up. We're going to learn a lot from Krista. She's a host of the Unstoppable Female Entrepreneur Show, a powerful series of women who have collaborated as thought leaders, spiritual entrepreneurs, parents, and lifestyle coaches, life coaches, authors, strong mentors, and women who have moved from the corporate world to the journey of entrepreneurship. Krista's passions are deeply rooted in her professional life coaching and business lifestyle mindset mentorship programs for female entrepreneurs. During her personal journey, she has overcome anxiety, depression, a childhood diagnosis of ADHD, sexual trauma, and abuse. Additionally, Krista has exceeded all odds, triumph in difficult moments every time, and she is a connected, empowering, and generous leader. It is the struggles and her resiliency as she has undergone these challenges that has sharpened her and created her to be caring, compassionate, and strong. It is her dream to work with women who have gone through trauma and abuse, hardship, pain and loss to help them come through their life's circumstances, shining bright, living in their purpose, and changing the world with their gifts. Remember, our gifts often come from uncovering the deepest truth, regardless of life's variable circumstances. So without further ado, let's welcome Krista. Hi, love. I'm so glad that you're here.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Rosalyn, for such a warm welcome and welcoming me to your guests. To all your audience today. It's super awesome to be here.
I am so happy for you to be here. We are going to jam on all these amazing. I want to hear your story because I think our listeners are going to really receive a lot of golden nuggets as they listen to your story and understand. We'll get into the concepts of what exactly it took to really overcome a lot of challenges in your life. And so tell us a little bit more about you and your story, how you got to be who you are today.
Well, I definitely think that a pivotal year in my life was when I was 16 years old. A lot of things changed in my home life. I was raised in a Christian home and having a really safe, healthy, happy family. Really, really, I feel like I have a one-of-a-kind family. And from Canada, a lot of Canadian relatives. But yeah, I was born and raised here in Longview, Washington, and raised in Rainier, Oregon, which is just across the bridge, the Lewis and Clark Bridge. And, you know, I was raised in a really, really great family. And some things really shifted at the age of 16. And it put kind of my world spinning around and not exactly knowing where to put my feet. But I've always been, you know, a very loving, open-hearted person at the core. And some things that happened before then in my childhood that I just didn't even honestly know how to confront. I didn't even know who to tell or what it meant or any of that with a family member. Something happened, and I, you know, I held that in my body for a really long time, and sourced a lot of heartache. But I, you know, even through all of that uncertainty, I still, you know, held my faith and my connection with God, and it wasn't always perfect. But, you know, I did a lot of journaling as a kid. I look back at my journals and I think about, I mean, I'm still the same person, you know. Circumstances can come in and we become something, but the thing is we never change who we really are. And, you know, I have a belief that we are divine beings that are pure at the very core of who we are. And then circumstances happen and we're surrounded by things and we start to make meanings of it all. And often, really, we live in a very neutral world and we are meaning-making machines. And now that I've done so much healing work in myself, I've come to the truth, and every day I get to stand in that truth that, you know, if I'm hurt or in pain or in trauma or I'm being triggered, I really realize that that's not me. That's something that I get to work through. And from that place, I live in constant gratitude for everything that is surrounding me, because it is just a sign and a symbol of what is the truth is actually trying to emerge, and what's coming up it's like the cream at the top. It's the troubles and the triggers are actually the blessings.
I so agree with that. I really want to highlight that because that's something I love to preach about too, Krista, is just how when we feel into the resistance, that actually is the path to really go deeper into, because there's something there for us, right? Everything is neutral until we put meaning to it. And how we do that is based on our belief system. So yeah, I really want to highlight that point you shared. Thank you. Please continue.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I'm sharing the story and always in kind of a new way with a new audience, the same story. And I'm just thinking about, I mean, it's interesting because life in the moment is different than when you look back on it. And the moments can seem far and long and grueling and, you know, concerning and questioning. And I really think that that's a huge part of why I am a coach today, is to just be that steady force and that steady, neutral companion, friend, and coach that will mentor and really be able to hear what's really going on, because you're very familiar with language and you're very familiar with what people are really saying. I know I've had lots of conversations with you, and you're really listening. We get to really listen as coaches and really hear what's going on underneath. And that takes a lot of skill. It takes a lot of training and expertise to be able to hear what's really going on.
Yes, absolutely. As coaches, it's like we're listening to what's not being said. And we're feeling into that because that's where the real juiciness is.
And you know, we all at whatever point we are in life, we all could benefit from having a coach, because it's like you go to your relatives, your sister, your brother, your aunt, your uncle, and they absolutely love us, you know, and they do have our best interest in mind. And it's like your aunt teaching you basketball versus a professional coach, because they're going to be very neutral with you. They don't maybe know your past or everything, and they're going to just be able to see things from a more, they're focused on you. They're dedicated 100% to you. They don't have anything else going on in that moment. I think is a huge part of the power to coaching, is that presence. For me, I've always desired connection and presence and 100% attention. So that's the beauty in coaching. And
can you tell us where that desire came from?
The desire to have connection?
Yeah. Like, what happened that you realized how important this is? And because I feel like people can really relate with this. Because I know at the very core of us, we all want to feel loved, safe, and belong. And when we really highlight the importance of showing up in a way where we are providing presence, attention, that likely means something happened to you, and you recognize, I never want to have this experience happen to me or anyone else again. So I'm going to really show up and be present for others.
There's a couple components to this. I honestly think that in the culture of the world, we have a very chronic lack of presence thing going on with how, you know, we're on our phones and connected to the screen. And the thing is the need and the desire for human connection will never go extinct. And I can say, actually, I just have been working on clearing this with my mom. And I've really done a lot of healing to the point that there's no resentment or anger or feelings of betrayal or anything. These feelings, and I've come to the realization that I made so many meanings from a childhood perspective about the way my mom showed up for me. And it really was a hindrance to not only myself, my mom, but it's also generational. And when you can see someone from what's actually called Salbona, I don't know if you've heard of that before, but it's seeing people. Yeah, Salbona is like when you see someone, you're not just seeing a singular entity. You're seeing all of the things that they've gone through and their mom went through that impacted their childhood, and then their mom's mom went through that impacted their mom, who impacted the child. And my commitment to my family is being as much of the change in the world that I want to see, being that change, and healing the trauma in myself, healing the trauma that I perceived in my mom, healing the trauma that so this is the big breakthrough I had even just a couple of days ago, and this is perfect timing for the audience to hear, because it really is a blessing that came through, and I get to pass that on with everyone listening right now. So I had a trigger with my boyfriend, and I talked to my coach, my leadership coach, and she's like, where else has something like this shown up in your childhood? And I was like, my mom. And it was like, I always wanted someone to stop what they were doing, look me in the eyes, and just hold me, connect with me, talk to me, care about me. And it was almost like throughout my childhood, I established this glitch that if someone didn't start with the connection piece, the rest didn't really matter to me. And I ended up realizing that my mom, I've starved my mom of acknowledgement. So I went to her just a couple of days ago and I said, you know what, I realized the reason why I don't like doing any of the things that you did really well. Like I own a cleaning business, but after owning it for 9 years, you kind of get tired of cleaning. But just to be frank. I mean, I love to clean. I love to clean, but it's actually been an intimacy breakdown in my own heart towards my family. And I realized that I can heal that by actually loving my mom for being a great cook, for being innovative, for being resourceful, and for all the things that she gave me. And, I really discounted all the things that she gave me and all the things that she was for me, because I really didn't feel like I had the connection that I desired, And so
that's so powerful. Yes.
Yeah. So I get to really heal that with her and transform that part of my relationship with her. And in doing that, it's going to go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. And I was just going to say, this is really powerful. Thank you for sharing so vulnerably. This is what makes it so juicy, right? Like, it literally just happened a few days ago and you get to share it with the world. This is amazing and inspiring.
Yeah.
You know what we do?
Okay, go ahead.
We're trying to make this is just awkward. I'm just going to name that, because we're trying to create the space, but also where we know that there is commercial coming up. So why don't we do this? We'll pause right here. We'll move into commercial. And when we come back, Krista, I'll get you to go on. And then we're also going to unpack what it took for you to get to where you are right now with the arriving of your heart opening and being present, and how that applies to being unstoppable.
Totally. Thank you.
Thank you.
A conscious lifestyle for a mindful life. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
When you wake up in the morning, are you excited for the new day? Are you passionate about your work? Are your relationships fulfilling? And finally, are you happy? I'm Mia Voce, your host and guide to the power of 5. Harness the forces of the universe and unleash your powers within. Join me each Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, here on OMTimes Radio. And remember, anything is possible. You only just have to believe.
A social distancing tip.
Putting distance between yourself and others is critical to slowing the spread of coronavirus. So here are ways to stay in contact without the physical contact part. Call, send a text, set up a video conference, post on social media, dedicate a song on the radio. If you have symptoms of fever, dry cough, and shortness of breath, call your healthcare provider before going to their office. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part, because we're all #alone together. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
All right, welcome back, my loves. So Krista was just sharing her story, and in her story, there were so many powerful nuggets as she was sharing so vulnerably. And I really want Krista to really continue her story. And of course, I will pause and highlight the things that I really want you as an audience to receive. So we will unpack how Krista became unstoppable. So my love, go ahead and continue your journey with us.
Hello, I'm back. Thank you for welcoming me back. And I am, I was sharing about my mom and my relationship with her. And the thing is when we source a lack of acknowledgement when I was sourcing a lack of acknowledgement for my mom, from myself, like when I was the source of not being acknowledging, I asked myself, why is it that I don't want to do? I don't feel motivated to do the things that my mom was actually really good at, and she was a gift in. And I realized it's because I didn't feel like I would be valued for them, which is another form of acknowledgement. Like I wouldn't feel like I would be acknowledged for it or appreciated. And so I was like, I know exactly what I get to do. I get to be in gratitude and acknowledgement for her, because when I am in that, the spirit and the attitude of acknowledgement, I actually source that for myself. And I get to be a witness of that. My kids will witness it. They'll experience my relationship with my mom. The thing is like, we're light beings. And so when you vocalize and you put it through your vocal cords, which is a powerful chakra, of expression and of connection, as we speak, we actually are putting out a specific frequency. We actually heal our energy centers as we speak, and it shifts the environment around us, and it's super powerful. And my mom, I could energetically feel, I was like, I'm going to acknowledge you. And I could just feel the energy drop to where we were in that, like on a 1 to 10 scale, how acknowledged do you feel? I could feel it was like a 1 or 2. And out of what I feel like I would love to create with her. So she kind of gave me you're going to acknowledge me type of look. So
that is so powerful right there. Well, I want to actually rewind a bit and just ask you, because as people are listening, they're probably wondering, well, how did you even start with, that awareness? What triggered you to look at yourself, and what was that question you asked yourself to realize, like, oh, my relationship with my mom isn't where I want it to be? What triggered you to ask yourself, like, why am I not valuing her gifts? Why am I not stepping into the gifts that she also has?
Yeah, so life is like a mirror. And whenever we see something in someone else, whether it be 1-dimensional, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-dimensional, we're literally experiencing ourselves in the world. And so when you see, like, we get to be responsible, and that's where you come from, the place of a victor. A victim is things happen to me, this person did this to me, this person pushed me, and you almost let go of what you may have been and done to have been a creator of that, because you were there, right? So were you just standing there? Like most people don't create things by you just standing there. Well, that could be where you're responsible. Maybe you were there. Maybe you're responsible for being there, And so, I'm a mom of 2 boys, 4 years old. Yesterday he turned 4, and then my other one is 5.5. And they're like, he hit me, blah, 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 well, it was his fault. Well, guess what? It's kind of like this. As children, we're kind of weird. It's odd. It's really interesting to me. Like, we're naturally programmed to be blamers and to dismiss. But like, we get to be a stand for that as women, as men, as entrepreneurs, as we don't even have to be an entrepreneur to pass that on. And what we see in the world is a mirror of ourselves. So if I feel like I've learned this through deep leadership work that I'm actually in right now, and my coach had coached me through it. But she doesn't give me the answer. She literally asks me a question, and I get to come up with the answer and see within myself. And I just saw that if I feel starved of something, where else am I starving someone else of that same thing? Because when you give, you create generosity and abundance. And we are honestly, my belief system is that takes faith. It takes faith to give, no matter if it's a hug, like something non-monetary, a hug, a word of love, acknowledgement, or if it's, giving charitably or tithing or whatever. But we are designed to give of the 10% of ourselves, like give of yourself above and beyond first. don't give when you think you have left over, because when you create that, you source more of people giving you what they have left over of themselves. But when you're a stand for abundance and I'm going to give and show up, I mean, we all get to work on this. I'm saying this and I'm thinking, yeah, I've done it. I've been this way in this area, but I get to do that in this area. You know?
Absolutely.
I get to be the one who shows up first.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So many good golden nuggets here. You know, one of my biggest lessons, and I think we're taking, like the courses you're taking right now in your personal development, I believe I took the same ones. Just having a conversation with a mutual friend who's also in the same course that you introduced us to, Rebecca. And I was like, hey, I took the same courses. And that was one of the most life-changing concepts, was recognizing victim versus accountability. And I actually did a whole episode on this. I believe it was episode 2 or 3 in my podcast. But this is everything, is when we start to take a stand for ourselves and we look at what is my parts here, you know, because we're not just bystanders. We can choose to be active and look at ourselves and go, what is my part here right now? Yeah, I'm standing here, but am I on autopilot? And if I am, like, let's really look at what this is about, and how am I energetically contributing to what's happening right now, whether it's a situation with one person, a party of more than 2, you know, or even globally. Right? Like thinking even about Black Lives Matter, which I also did another episode on, just recognizing, you know, even though I am not Black, I am contributing to this by not participating. And so I really looked at myself with that, and I just thought, you know, I got to show up differently. I know this isn't of my highest and best. And so I love, just coming back to you, Chris, I love that you're really sharing so vulnerably and so openly about how you're witnessing yourself, and then being open to being coached. Because I really believe, you know, we're better leaders when we are being led and looking and exploring ourselves, the most important relationship there is, besides the one with higher power. And we get to decide, we get to choose. So
yeah, and when we're willing to see our stuff, we actually are like, we're cleaning up our mirror. So whenever I gave this analogy on one of the calls last week we had with our big group of like 80 students, and I shared them that we're mirroring mirrors. Like literally, when I look at you, if you light me up, there is something I see in you that I actually am.
1,000%.
And I want to I want to be in it more, and I want to come to the reality of being that fully. That's really what the language around it is. Like if I were to explain, if I see Rosalyn, she's the soulgasmic entrepreneur, and why does that appeal to me? Well, I want my soul to have a gasm, you know?
Yeah.
And I want to wake up every day, and I want to thrive, and I want to be a high frequency person and just light the room up. So when you see something else in someone, there's a reason why you see it, even if it's like, you know, you get feedback, that's angry, she's so entitled, or she's angry, or whatever. Well, when have you been entitled or angry? And how can you show up to be higher than that? And if we were all committed as a universe, as a world, to clean our mirror based on what we see in other people, because we know it's actually us coming up in the mirror, that we would all be responsible for what the entire world is creating, because every time we saw something in someone else, we would be responsible for it as how we are and how we be. It's super, super powerful.
Oh, absolutely. And I also I love the concepts of mirrors, because the same can apply when, and this is one of my breakthroughs in how I realized, ooh, my victim card is still happening, is when we feel that resistance with somebody. It's like, for whatever reason, even on a really subtle level. So I remember in my personal development course, in this group, I was really resistant with this one woman. Like, her energy, I just couldn't. Something was off around it and between us. And I would ask the question to the group, she would answer, but it was like I would dismiss her on a very subtle level, and I would ask the question again, waiting for someone else to answer, as if her answer wasn't good enough. And then I was driving home after that day, because it's a 5-day course. It was probably day 2. And I was reflecting myself. I'm like, holy shit, where else am I showing like that? Like, I don't understand why I responded that way, because that's not the way I want to show up. That is so disrespectful. And who else am I doing that with? And I realized, Krista, just like you, it was my mom. And so I really had to reflect on how come, and I realized I was judging my mom to be, I would get frustrated because I know she has bigger potential, and that she was staying in her victim, and she was playing small, and all this. And the biggest gift of this was then going back to this woman who was a mirror for me. And I said, I'm calling myself out. That's not the way I want to behave and show up. And I am not sure why. And then she said to me, well, Roz, I think you're a big fucking victim. Like, all I see when you speak, when in this class, is like, all I hear and see is victim. And then what happened was, it allowed her to see, because other people were all holding space for us as we were having this conversation. It's a really safe and sacred space to say, is that, they said to the other person, is that because you're a victim in your life? And she really was like, yeah, like she was showing up as a big victim in her life in that time period. And I thought, wow, this is the greatest gift for both of us, to free ourselves when we can feel safe enough to have those conversations that are very highly conscious and taking our own personal accountability. So thank you for sharing this. And I feel like that's part of what creates being unstoppable, right, Krista? Like, really the ability to understand the concept of mirrors, understand that what's most important is that we look at ourselves, and then we have a coach to support us so that we can look at ourselves in a deeper way. Because let's face it, wounds don't happen when you're born. They get projected on us, and we make meaning about it, and then we take it on. So wounding only happens in relationships. So it makes sense that to heal, we must be in a relationship that's supportive for us to look at our own wounds. So, I want to have you share a little bit about, who, what other concepts have helped you go from victim to victor.
Yeah. And so when I was in this leadership experience, I realized that I'm like a super big optimist, and that I actually have used that to it's obviously served me. I've been through a lot of struggles and difficulties, and I've always been the one who has held a high integrity. Not always. I mean, obviously I'm human, but I have always strived to have a really high level of integrity as much as absolutely possible at that time. And I've always been growing. And, if something happened that seemed unfortunate, or naturally we would want to be sad or sulking or lost, you allow yourself to go into that space and to be present with it. And then there comes a point when, and I've learned this as becoming a coach, is that your emotional state can't stay sad for too long before you end up doing something about it, or it shifts into, usually you go into really loose emotions like sorrow, sad, sulking, depressed, to angry, frustrated, like this tense emotion, and it's called the crazy eight. And I got to think about where I'm going with this. I'm just kind of pouring out from my heart. And I've had both of the anger, I've had the frustration, I've had the rage. I mean, my family would totally know this about me. And they also know that I can be the person to go take a nap and hide and just want to cozy up. And when you realize that, I think there was a point where I realized that wasn't, that those types of ways of being in those situations, those triggers, they actually weren't supporting the holistic approach. It was becoming a Band-Aid. And then once you kept being the angry person, it actually becomes like something that does instant damage. And then you go to the point where it's becoming a landslide effect. And, we all will come to a point with something. And I bet many of our listeners right now are at a point where maybe they're tired of their boyfriend yelling at them, or they're tired of not feeling heard and they're just done. What is it that you're done with? What is it that you're over it? And that's your breaking point. And when you're at your breaking point, if someone can someone can coach you through when you're at that point or getting close to it, then you have the support that it takes to have the breakthrough. Because the coach will let you see things not only from the other person's perspective, because that's great, but also deep dynamics. There's deep dynamics that,
yes,
like, yeah.
I feel like we're going to get some juiciness right here. So we're going to leave it on a cliffhanger. We're going to go to commercial. And Krista, when we come back, I'd love for you to share how exactly you walk your clients through this process.
Okay.
Free your mind. Expand your soul. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
OMTimes magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Connect at OMTimes.com. OMTimes, creating a more conscious lifestyle.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me The Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
Melissa from Michigan. I work an extra part-time job serving lunch at my child's school, but I still can't afford to put food on our table.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
All right, welcome back, my love. So, Krista, I'd love for you to share who exactly is your soulmate client and how is it that you take them through from their challenges and struggles to that desirable transformation? What is it that you do to walk them through?
Well, for every single client, it's a little bit different. But what I would say is whatever's coming up that day is definitely the perfect thing that is going to serve them that day. And so, my style of coaching is being really, definitely being very being with them and having that presence. I'm very structured in a lot of areas of my life, and I'm committed to providing that to my clients when they desire for that, or they need it, or maybe they don't desire, but they need it. But also just being present with the day, where they're at in their day. And I can say, one of my coaches, she just shows, actually several of them, they just show up for you to be what is showing up for you and help supporting you through that. And I would say that my process is listening and being with them intimately. I don't know if that's answering your question. It's not a super analytical response, because I'm definitely analytical, but it's just being present to what is showing up, and then using the skill sets that I've acquired through my life coach certification and through doing my own leadership development. And I also have coaches. I have coaches backing me and supporting me all the time. So I'm constantly doing the work myself. So it's being able to, yeah. And, the other thing is I do have a calling on my heart that was given to me 7 years ago, that I was going to help. This is specifically how it came to me. So I just get to say it raw and vulnerable and trust that it's perfect. That I was supposed to support women at some point in my life with abused and battered women. It was exactly how it came from the divine. And I want to identify what that means. That can literally be so diverse, from our thoughts, like our own personal thought abuse, or it can be the way we treat ourselves or the way we aren't treating ourselves, like self-care. And it can go all the way up to the spectrum of, I would definitely feel comfortable supporting someone that has went through sexual abuse or trauma. And that can be a sensitive line to work with. I will work with someone, if they need a therapist that's more skilled in that area, I will definitely refer them. And also just being that support person where there's a safe space to be heard, and also allowing them to be responsible for what's been created for them, and then helping them create daily steps and weekly steps to promote their health and promote their transformation, as well as a super important part of the process is clearing things up with people and really freeing the energy.
Oh, that's powerful. And so who do you love to work with? Like, what are some of the challenges that people are like, Krista is the coach for me because these are my struggles, and I know she's going to be the one that will help me with my transformation?
I would definitely say I love to support family dynamics from the person's approach. I'm currently trained to work with people on their level, and I can definitely there's this thing called cross-generational conflicts. I can definitely support people with that, and I can dive into that if you want more details on what the heck that means. It actually shows up in a lot of families. Okay, so cross-generational conflicts are when, for example, say a scenario, you have a son still living at home at 30 years old, and you want to, maybe you're coming to me as a mom and you're like, how do I get my son to move out? I can help support you understand what has happened up until now that has been a perpetuator of that situation. And that may be different for every situation, but there are definitely key things that I can identify. I would start out by asking, who was your son? I would obviously want to know their background, but some place I would go really quickly into would be, tell me a bit more about your son. Tell me who you think he's been closer to. I would get to know, the parent dynamics there and understanding it, because what happens with like cross-generational conflicts is when a child is potentially acting as a partner to one of their parents because the bond is stronger between parent and child than husband and wife. And so it makes intimacy hard. Maybe there's been a breach of trust between the husband and wife, and then the child and maybe the mom, for example, have gotten closer through that conflict. And that actually can create and source a breakdown in the family and can cause a lot of confusion because there's this bond that they don't know how to navigate in order to get the result that they want. And they're actually perpetuating a problem that can cause a lot of like, I'm frustrated. Why is he still living at home? I don't want this to ruin our relationship. And it can just be very confusing. And so I'm trained in that, and helping women, female entrepreneurs, show up for their kids, and also not allow the stories to keep playing of like why I can't live my purpose or why I can't step into my calling. And so that's a huge one, like, how do I do it all? I'm a single mom, I'm a sole custodian, and I have a business with 15 employees currently, normally 20. And I can guide you through understanding your employees and understanding your team and understanding yourself and how to show up for them so that they show up for you, so that you can have that independence that you want, so that you can take 3 work days off a week, or whatever your vision is for your business. I can help you balance support with the family and asking for support. And that can be a weak muscle in a lot of people. Like, how do I ask for support and not feel gross about it, or not feel like I'm leaning on someone, or maybe someone wants to go the other way. Like, how do I create more independence? How do I get out of my parents' house, So I'm able to support with those, like, family dynamics around business would be a brief way to describe my ideal client.
Beautiful. And your ideal clients are entrepreneurs, female entrepreneurs. Is that correct?
Yes, I definitely feel called to work with entrepreneurs, and because I know that they're driven and they're trying to find out how they're going to show up really, really juicy and really well for both their business and their family. So, and it's not that I'm not open to working with working with other people, but I can say that it's people that have a drive, even if they're not into, like, currently an entrepreneur, but they're headed in that direction, because I think a lot of people are moving in the direction of entrepreneurship, and there is a lot to break through to get to that point. So entrepreneurs and people pursuing it.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And I always like to say, if we are having, like, if we look at all the different life areas of the life wheel, and if we're having huge challenges and struggles in one or more of these areas, it's going to energetically take us out from living in our purpose and magnetizing those aligned opportunities and clients and tribe that are aligned with our big vision dream. And we don't want that for you, right? So, Krista, you're amazing at supporting women so that they can really quiet down and find that inner peace, so that they can really take that to the next level, not just in their business, but in all areas of their life, in the relationships, and whether it's intimate relationships, family, friendships, business connections. Like, this is everything. So I feel like that's really important. In order to be unstoppable, we got to keep doing our inner work. And you guys all know, if you've been following me for a while, that's what I preach about, right? It's like the strategies will only take you so far as your psychology goes. And so at the very depth of this is really exploring your belief systems and your blind spots and really releasing all of those. So what I'm going to do, thank you so much, Krista. We're going to take the next few moments to really guide you into a meditation, and I'll seal it with a light language activation so that we can unlock those soul codes for you to become even more unstoppable. So I'm going to invite you to just get really cozy, start to take your attention inward. You can have a soft gaze or close your eyes. And then just really following your breath in, saying hello to your internal world. And as you do that, just invite you to really feel into the nuggets that really stood out for you from this episode so far. What's that one thing that really stood out for you? And feel into this truth. Breathe it in. Expanding it into your body, breathing your breath into the areas that need more space, and then releasing anything that doesn't serve or support. Any resistance that's coming up, that's okay. Let that be there for now. That just is information that there's more to work through. Beautiful. So breathing in through your root chakra, really feeling into the safety. So your root chakra, for those of you that don't know, is where your pubic bone is. This is the foundation of safety, mind, body, spirit. And as you're breathing in through your root, move it up into your sacral, really activating, which is your womb space, really activating the energy of fire here. This is your self-worth, your creativity. This is where all the juicy pleasure, desire codes are. And I truly believe this is where manifesting starts to begin, because this is where your soul essence starts to come alive. And then moving it, your breath into the solar plex, your power center. Seeing this beautiful yellow, activating your power. And it is here that you are unstoppable. Feel into your energetic boundaries, your energetic field. Bring it further and further out into, from inside out, radiating it so that you have this beautiful energetic field that is here to support you, to protect you from anything less than love, joy, and peace. Anything that tries to permeate this will just bounce off and return to the ground. Transmute it back into positive energy. Mother Earth will take care of it. And on your next inhale, breathe into your heart space, feeling into the love. Feeling into the love you have for yourself. And then radiating out this beautiful love out into the world. You are here to share your gifts. And then breathing into your throat chakra, which is activating you to speak your truth, sharing your message. And then breathing into your third eye, inviting you to tap into your intuition. Activating, and then opening your crown chakra at the top of your head, allowing divine to come through, inviting our spirit guides to be here, asking for their assistance. They're always wanting to support you. We just need to remember to ask. And then feel into what it feels like as you imagine now, as you envision being unstoppable, your version of being unstoppable. What would that feel like? What would that look like? In a way that feels like ease, flow, fun. Don't worry about the mechanics. Just feel into the vibes. And then feel it in your body. Sensation. Kora tikira tua, kira tua, tikira tua. Pora kira tua, kira, pora kora tikira tua, kora tua. Anchoring, anchoring, anchoring. Pora kira tua. You are unstoppable. Kora tikira tua. It is your birthright to show up and shine. Kora tikira tua. Breathing in. And then breathing out. Breathing in love. Breathing out love. Beautiful. Just allowing yourself to hang out with your experience. Noticing the images, downloads, words, phrases, colors that came through for you. Beautiful. And so I'm just going to invite Krista to come on in and share with us, for those of you who feel called to connect with her, how can we get a hold of you, love? What's your website?
You can find me on Facebook on my personal profile at Krista Lindenthal, Kris Lindenthal, Lindenthal, as well as on Instagram at Krista, Krista .ml, as in Marie Lindenthal, .coach. And you can find me on Facebook at Krista Lindenthal Life Coach.
Beautiful, thank you. And that will be in the show notes of Apple, iTunes, as well as OMTimes Radio. And you guys can always connect with me if you need to further connect with Krista. I'm always here to help. Until next week, stay shining bright. Thank you so much, Krista.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.